Hi, Kristen. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. So, I would love for you just to start by telling us who you are and what you do.
First, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm really excited. It's my first time ever being on a podcast, so this is great. So, a little bit about myself. I am a 26-year-old gal that lives in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I work as a social worker in child protection. And I also started my own personal training business in the midst of the pandemic. And that's been really great. I've always wanted to help people, hence why I became a social worker. But then, and I've had an interest in working out, but then I was able to kind of marry a bunch of things I'm passionate about. And it's nice to be able to help people in a bunch of different capacities. And it's just been incredible. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that must be a very difficult job at times, being a social worker.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's really rewarding most of the time. And also, I myself am, as a child, I grew up in a household that was, not perfect. I'm adopted. So I know what it's like. And so it's really nice to be able to like just be there for people that are going through what I went through. But yeah, it's challenging sometimes, but it's mostly
More
good.
rewarding than challenging.
Yeah, and it's also like I just learned so much because if you walk into anybody's household at any given time, whatever their challenge is different than yours or whatever, not even just challenges. Sometimes you're there for positive things, but everybody's life is different. So I get to learn about all different types of things and people and places. And so I'm grateful.
That's amazing. So, I
Mm-hmm.
know that you are very big into the law of attraction. So, can
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
explain a little bit more about that and what it is?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, growing up, it was, not great at my house. I spent a lot of time with my best friend's family, who I met when I was in middle school. And so I started to spend more time with them, but I was still with my biological family. Spoiler alert, they're the family that adopted me in the end. But my mom, my adoptive mother, who was trying to help me, but it was difficult because I really belonged to my biological family. But she was like teaching me about just how to be more positive and how to like ask for what you want in life. And one thing that she really believes in is called the law of attraction. So it's based off of, like attracts like, the principle of that, and just learning how to manifest what you want out of life. So it's not just being positive and like saying like everything's fine and like everything happens for a reason. It's more so like learning literally how to ask for things properly. So if you want to, an example that they have in the documentary called The Secret, which is what she first showed me, is like if you want to get out of debt, you're not going to keep saying like I want to get out of debt, I want to get out of debt, because you keep saying debt and then you're giving energy to debt, right? So you want to ask the universe for money, or be like, every time I open the mail, this is again in the documentary, I'm opening checks. People get direct deposit nowadays, but it was an older documentary. So when I check the mail, there's checks and there's not bills, and, just kind of reframing things. So I learned about that when I was a junior in high school. And ever since then, it's sort of been like my own personal like religion, I would call it, and my family too. So we practice gratitude and we practice like speaking properly to the universe to get what we want, and it's really nice. I think it's worked, so I'm gonna stick with it.
Yes, and it's not ignoring the bad things, it's like reframing them, right?
Yeah, and just being like, everything is made of energy and you only have like a finite amount of it in yourself and the things around you. So if you can learn how to, you can't change things, right? But you can reallocate things. So slowly, if there's something negative about yourself or in your life that you don't want, if you slowly stop giving it your energy or figure out ways to replace it that feel better and lighter and more positive for you, you ultimately have more energy. And when you have more energy, you are not exhausted at the end of the day. You're not finding yourself getting sick. you know, your relationships are better. Like life is good if you try.
Yeah. Yes. So how do you use the law of attraction in your business?
So I use the law of attraction in my business by, I write out like, I'm so grateful that I earn X amount of money a month, or I just manifest like people are gonna DM me and ask me for a workout guide, or they're gonna ask to like train with me one-on-one, and like ultimately it does happen. So if I have somebody who, you know, they need to take a step away from training, obviously like life happens, it's good. I certainly struggle with losing that income in those moments as a small business owner because it's scary. But then I've been trying to reframe and be like, now I have more time, and which equals more energy. And so I will try my best to attract a client into my life that matches my energy and my, you know, work ethic. And hopefully this gives an opportunity to help somebody else. So that's kind of how I've been using it. But as you know, it's very difficult to have your own business. So it's hard to be positive when, you know, when you're kind of going through some challenges.
Mm-hmm. Do you have certain coping mechanisms? Let's start over.
Okay.
Do you have any coping mechanisms when those negative thoughts do come in and those hard days do come and you feel like quitting everything and crawling under your covers?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that I started therapy 2 years ago. I think that was the best gift I've ever given myself. It's very, I don't always want to go, or talk to my therapist, but I think ultimately it's really helped me learn to treat myself better and how to like foster better relationships. So since I have her, I've been able to like really clean up the health in other relationships in my life. So when I'm feeling really negative, I feel safe, you know, for the first time in my life, in my relationships, to go to people and tell them how I'm feeling, and they're able to like talk with me. I'm somebody who, when I'm upset and negative, I want to talk to somebody else. I don't like get introverted. I ask for help and I reach out. So I talk to others. I talk to my therapist. I, of course, like to work out. It's really helpful for me when I'm getting like anxious. I really like to like run and just get it out. And I have a cat, I have a dog, I spend time with them. I like to go outside. I live in an area where people are always around. So, and my dog's adorable. So people want to see him. And then they talk to me, and really, I like talking to people. So it cheers me up to just go out, not be on my phone, and like meet new people. So that's tough.
Yes. Yes. I'm a very big cheerleader, not that word. I'm very big for therapy. I think that's very, very important. Even if you don't think you need one, I think everybody needs one. So just somebody
Yeah.
to talk to.
Yeah, certainly. And I think my biggest thing about being in therapy, because I've just like on my life experiences and what I do for a living, I really want to be of service for other people. So like, although it helps me, I'm always like talking to my therapist about like, okay, now that I went through this, I'm going to be able to like help somebody else with that too. Or I'm going to be able to, you know, I want to be a mom someday. So I'm going to be like a better mother as a result of like going through these things, and a better sister and friend and daughter, and working on all that. So therapy is just, you know, it's really, really cool. It's definitely, like I said, the best gift you can give to yourself.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So most of my listeners are podcast hosts. So how can somebody as a podcast host use the law of attraction to help grow their podcast?
I think just, you know, the same way I was just talking about with my business, where you are, the energy that you put out on your social media, or in our case, we met through the Next Generation Network, which our mutual friend Gabby put together, where it's women who can connect with each other and collaborate on things. And there's a lot of other avenues you can take with it, but that's mostly about us just connecting and being able to talk. So you posted on there, I answered it. Like, that was you putting energy out there and me accepting it. So social media, if there's any kind of like online communities, I know there's a lot that folks can join that are about their niche for their podcast. I think that would be great. And, just trying to remain like positive and open, because I feel like podcasting is really, really cool and unique. And I love that all the podcasts I listen to, it just seems like the hosts are they're lifelong learners. They're very eager to like talk and to get to know other people. So I think just trying to be positive and remain open. But I'm not a podcast host, but that's what I would say.
No, I agree. Yes. Building community, getting the word out more about your podcast, and just, yeah, being excited about it and talking about it. It's just that energy is going to go out into the world and come back to you.
Exactly. And it's also really cool with podcasts. I've found so many other people that do really interesting, very unique things just because they were on a podcast. Like the person on your podcast doesn't have to be you, right? They're ideally different than what you've talked about in your podcast, what you like to talk about in general. So I just think it's really awesome. It's so intimate too.
Yes, definitely. So as a certified personal trainer, how do you use fitness to help with your mindset and everything else going on?
I use it really I'm more of an anxious person. So I use it to try to get my energy out that I feel like it's really not doing anything great for me. It's just making me feel very up and I can't be focused. So I use it as a way to get out of my head and into my body. I have always done that since I can remember. As a kid, I've been interested in working out. I would just do like sit-ups and like push-ups, and I would like go for runs when I literally had shoes with holes in them. And I've just always been drawn to move my body. And I'm not like an annoying trainer that's just like, you have to just move. Like it actually works for me and it continues to. So I think it's very effective when you get into it.
Yeah, you got to move the energy around.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If I just sit around all day versus like a day where I'm active, how I feel is like, oh my God, so vastly different.
So, do you set boundaries or have a way that you keep the negative energy from coming in and keep the positive energy around you?
Yeah, I think that boundary setting, again, is another thing I've been practicing as a result of going to therapy, kind of learning my own patterns and triggers and things that make me go down that negative route or just not feel good at all. So I've taken opportunities to practice boundary setting that are very, very difficult, especially more recently with some things going on in my life. But again, I have the support of my therapist. I have people in my life that because I feel safer now, I'm able to like talk to them and they know where I'm at versus me feeling so alone. And so I feel like boundary setting is really scary and it's difficult, but you have to do it. You have to be selfish. If you aren't selfish and you don't take care of yourself and you don't protect yourself from things that don't make you feel good or things that are negative, I don't know, like you're not gonna be well. Like you're not gonna be of service to yourself or anybody around you, and ultimately you're hurting yourself. So the boundaries they're protecting me.
Yeah, you can't just keep giving and giving and giving because eventually you'll have nothing left. You need to refill your cup, set those boundaries so that you have time to actually do what you need to do to feel good.
Yeah, certainly, because no one else is going to do that for you.
That's for sure.
No, not one singular person. So yeah, it's definitely important but challenging.
Yes,
I feel like the hardest part about boundaries is like, if I set a boundary with you and I'm like, okay, like, let's say I'm like, can you not text me after 3 p.m.? And then you're like, okay, like that sounds great. But then everybody, like if we have mutual friends or whatever, and they're coming to me and saying like, but Jill wants you to text her right now. Like, can you text her in 3:05? Like the hardest part about boundaries is like you said it with the person or the thing, but then that doesn't exist in a vacuum. So like you have to keep resetting boundaries with other people or other things or other places that are similar to that. Or it's just, it's hard, but having a support system is what helps you get through it.
Yeah, I even have to do that with myself. Like I try not to check my email after 4 p.m. because that's my time with my kids. But sometimes I'll find myself doing it. I'm like, no, you can't respond because you set this boundary. And if you respond, the boundary is going to be, they're going to realize it's not really there.
Yeah. And it's not going to feel good on you either. Like you just played yourself. But can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is it difficult to set boundaries like between you and your children? I know that like as a mom, I'm not a mom yet, but like, is that hard? Is it something that you try to do, or is it kind of like fluid?
Yeah, it is hard. Like, especially when they want my attention right after school and I have some things I got to finish doing. Like they know I'm on this podcast interview right now. So if my door is shut, that's kind of like a physical boundary right there. I'm like, you cannot come in if my door is shut. So just them knowing that and knowing that, I have to work. That's what feeds our family. So you have to give me that time to do that. And then being like, at this time, I will be out and I will hang out with you and we can do things together. So just them knowing that there will come a time, but they're impatient. They don't want to wait for the time. So just continuing to remind them.
Yeah. And I think like, I think people are afraid of like setting boundaries because it sounds like it's really intense, but like you have to, even like as a mom with your own children or your family members, like you have to do that. And so maybe it's not like you need to set a boundary. If you need to reframe it, maybe you need to explain like what your expectations are. So my expectation is that you let me work and then afterwards mommy can have so much fun with you because I've already finished my work. And so if you help people understand why they exist, it's easier to maintain.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Even though I explain it a lot, sometimes they just don't want to listen, as most people do.
Yeah, they're kids, so I'm sure it's difficult. But as they get older, like that's really awesome because I don't think I ever had anybody speaking to me like that as a kid, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's cool. Very cool.
Yes. So this last segment is just a few little questions I like to ask every guest. So what is your favorite mindset book?
I really enjoy The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Have you read it?
No, it's on my list though. I have a long list. It's on my list.
You need to. It's so good. It's not that long, I don't think. I think maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say, but maybe like 200 pages. Like it's not that bad, but it's like a quick read. But essentially it's a book that comes from this ancient Toltec civilization that used to exist in Mexico, but their society, I guess, like fell apart, their civilization did, but they were known for their wisdom and for their ideas around energy and making, instead of saying like, I'm just going to give energy to it, they say like, you agree to something. And in that agreement, you're saying, I'm going to give energy to that or not give energy to that. So there's 4 agreements that they introduce to you in the book. And if you accept all of those, it's supposed to kind of help you align other agreements or other energy paths in your life. Really awesome. And when you do read it, please let me know how you like it.
I will. Yes. It's my list. It gets longer every day, I swear, but it's on there.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask this question, everybody you talk to, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you have an affirmation that you use that helps you out?
I do, but I feel like I always say it wrong, but I also don't think it really matters. But I think it's a common one is I don't chase, I attract. What's meant for me will simply find me.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, I like to write it down. And when I write things down, I feel like they're more real. I don't know about you, but I'm a big writer downer. So I do that.
Yeah, I'm a pen and paper person.
Mm-hmm. And typing it like isn't the same at all.
It's not the same. No.
That's my affirmation.
What is your favorite podcast?
So I like to listen to like really silly podcasts and just like things to like entertain me. So, but I also like to finish things that I start. So I don't listen to too many podcasts because I get overwhelmed if I'm behind on them. So I listen to NPR's Up First. It gives me like 12 minutes of news every morning. Excuse me. And I listen to Call Her Daddy by Alex Cooper. It's on Spotify. That was a podcast that was originally just like about sex, and it was like pretty raunchy, but now she is more about like mental health awareness, and it's really changed over the years. So I'm down for the changes. And Giggly Squad, which is a podcast with two best friends, and they talk about like what's going on, like with like celebrities, or just they just literally just bullshit with each other, and they're funny, so I like it.
Yes, I like fun podcasts. I do a mixture of business and fun ones. I'm really into like the rewatch podcasts, like The Office and Psych, the TV show rewatch ones.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I just learned about that. I heard there's one like with New Girl, and like there's a bunch of things coming out about New Girl, but I feel like I would be interested in that too. I like it when I'm driving. Like, I don't want to call anybody because I don't want to talk on the phone, because I talk to people all day long for work, but it's nice to like hear a conversation that you're not really a part of.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And can you let the listeners know how they can connect with you more?
Yes, thank you so much. So I only have Instagram really, and I have a TikTok, but I don't really like use it that much. But you can find me on Instagram. My name is Krys Scalfani, so it's KrysCalfani on Instagram. And yeah, shoot me a DM, add me, and I'd love to connect with new people.
I'll also have that link in the show notes. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. I appreciate it.